calculate. Okay. What we do is in the Latimer diagram, it is nothing but standard reduction potentials. In the last class itself, I gave some basic idea about how the standard reduction potentials are calculated, measured using the hydrogen bubbling apparatus and so on. And we have the galvanic cell, you measure the standard reduction potential. All those things above hydrogen, all those things below hydrogen. So we classify as hydrogen as a reference point and we classify them as oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Okay. So this is because it is based on hydrogen as a reference point, and surprisingly, reduction potential values will take the one which is having low reduction potential can given the reduction potentials. First thing you should do is you should always write the highest number on the left hand side and the lowest highest oxidation state on the lowest oxidation state on the right extreme. Okay, so you have to write this. Important point to note is the species with highest positive reduction potential. So you have some plus 5, plus 3 which is on the left hand side. It is a good oxidizing agent, and the reverse. The negative reduction potential is a very good reducing agent. So these 3 points, if you remember, one is a Timmel diagram is nothing but an arrangement of these ions in such way that the reduction potential is arranged in a particular order. What is the particular order? The highest oxidation number or the species with the highest oxidation number is written on the left extreme. And the point to remember is the species that is on the left extreme is a good oxidizing agent and the reducing agent. Okay. Another thing you should also recollect and remember for these calculations involving Latimer diagram is delta G is equal to minus NFE. So this, you remember this, you need not memorize anything. You keep in mind that delta G is equal to, delta G is the what do you call, free energy change. The free energy change is given by minus NFE for process that involves electron. F is the Faraday constant. Even if you don't remember the Faraday constant, doesn't matter. What is more important is the number of electron and the value E. So F and E, if you don't know, also I will. The E is the electrode potential we use, that we will see how to use it and see. Now it is time for doing the calculation. Now this is the problem. The problem is, okay, I am giving you a system where Fe3 plus is converted to Fe2 plus and Fe2 plus is converted to Fe. When you measure the reduction potential for these conversions, it is Fe3 plus is giving 0.77 volt for its conversion, and Fe2 plus gives 0 minus 0.44 volt. Okay, so now you take the piece of paper. I want you to calculate this part. What is the free this standard reduction potential for the conversion Fe3 plus to Fe0? And what is the conversion? What is, how much is the standard reduction? Can you guess and give the comments? If you give 1 minute. Okay. Okay. I think if you are trying to guess by simply summing up the values, that is not the right way to do, because the simple electron volts are not additive in case of this reduction potential. You have to convert them in terms of free energy. Let's find out what is the free energy change for Fe3 to Fe. It is not readily available, but what we know is this particular one, delta G is equal to minus NFE. Delta G is equal to minus NFE. If you substitute that value here, what is delta G? We don't know. E we know. E 0.77 volt. So delta G equal to minus, what is the number of electron from this to this? Plus 3 is converting into plus 2. The number of electron is 1. Delta G is equal to minus N into. Let us don't worry about the F, the Faraday constant. You don't remember the value. Even if you remember the value, also no need to use in multiplication because we are going to, what is it called, subtract and divide and so on in the subsequent equations. So you plug in these values, minus N. N is the number of electron, that is 1 here. From this to this, from this to this, the number of electron is 1. So that is plugged in. F, you don't worry. And E is, this is the E value. So you multiply by 0.77. So what you will get is your change in free energy is minus 0.77 F. Right. This is what you calculate for the first conversion. This is the free energy change. Then you do the same thing for this one, Fe2 plus 2 Fe. How many number of electrons involved here? Number of electrons involved is 2. Because here it is plus 2, it became 0. So minus 2 times. Let us keep the F as such. And then 0. Minus 0.54. Okay. So this will come as plus 2 into 4 plus 0.88 F. So let's say this is delta G1 and this is delta G2. So sum from this to this conversion is, if you say as delta G is given by delta G1 plus delta G2. G1 plus delta G2. Sorry. If you sum it, this is 0.77 and this is 0.88. If you sum it, it becomes plus 0.11 F. Okay. Now we want to know what is the E value for this ion 3 plus 2 Fe ion 0. That conversion is 3 electron process. So you know what is delta G, same value, same thing, you know, delta G is 0.11 F, 0. So we calculated as 0.11 F for this Fe3 plus 2 Fe, we calculated like this. This should be equal to minus the total number of electron 3 and total number of the Faraday value F and the E value. That is what we are going to calculate. So we don't know what is the E value. This F goes and this F goes. So both of them are cancelled. And you have 0.11 divided by minus 3. So that is the F. E is equal to 0. Approximately minus 0.04. If it is 12, it is 4. Okay. So approximately it is equal to minus 0.04. In most of the entrance examination, when you write for CSIR or something like that, they will be asking based on the questions very similar. What is the amount of potential that you require to convert species A with this oxidation state to species B of this oxidation state? This is what the Latimer diagram is all about. Very simple concept. I'll give you another example. Suppose if you have 3 species, okay, A, B, C. A plus, B plus, and C plus. Three species I'm telling. I'm also giving you the reduction potentials for three species. The species number one, A, the reduction potential for A is, let us say, 0.31, and it is positive. And the reduction potential for B is 0.15. Let us say this is negative minus 0.1. The reduction potential for C is minus 1.4. All are in volts. Okay. The question is, which is the most uh, effective reducing agent? Tell me, which is the most effective reducing agent? Sometimes the question will be like that. So, as you know, you have to first look into the reduction potential value. The one which is having the highest negative reduction potential is the best reducing agent. So here C is the best reducing agent, followed by B and followed by A. So sometimes people will be asking in questions, which is the best oxidizing agent, which is the best reducing agent. The one which is having the highest negative reduction potential is the best reducing agent. The one which is having the highest oxidation positive value is the best oxidizing agent. So only two concepts you are going to explain or derive from the information based on Latimer diagram. Okay, and for doing so, you should follow whatever the things that I listed here. Only this much is what is expected for you to learn. Okay. Now, before going into the manganese example, I found a very nice video which explains step by step. I will show you the video. We'll pass in between the videos and you can ask the questions. Okay. Before that, if you have any questions on this calculation, you can put it in chat or you can ask, unmute and ask. Okay. Let's have clear idea about this one because we are not going to again and again study this concept. That's all. The Latimer diagram is so simple. You need to understand the basics of reduction potential that we understood in the last class, and we are using the reduction potential for doing the calculation. Okay. Shall we go for the manganese video or you have any questions? No. Okay. Let's go for the video. So, share.
Latimer and F diagram for manganese in acidic solution. Recall in the Latimer diagram that the species that is to the right of the arrow is formed by reduction of the species left of the arrow, and standard EMF for that reduction is listed over the arrow here in. We can gather some conclusions even by a cursory examination of the Latimer diagram. Recall that species that are most easily reduced, the ones that have the most positive standard reduction potentials, are oxidizing agents. All that oxidizing agents get reduced in the process of oxidation. We can gather some useful conclusions even with a cursory examination of the Latimer diagram. Since these values are the EMFs for standard reduction potential, the fact that most of these are positive tells you that the species involved tend to be strong oxidizing agents. Oxidizing agents get reduced, and therefore the more easily reduced they are, the more positive the EMF, the stronger the oxidizing agent that they are. Recall that species such as permanganate iron is a very powerful and very useful oxidizing agent, particularly in acidic solutions. In this video, we will write out in detail the balanced half reactions for every sequence shown in the diagram. We have the sort of main pathway here. We have the direct reduction of permanganate ion to manganese 2 plus. We have the intermediate reduction of permanganate to manganese oxide. There is one particular feature that we can notice in a Latimer diagram simply by looking at the values of the standard reduction potentials. Whenever we have a situation, such as for the hypomanganate ion here, MnO43 minus, when the reduction potential to the right is greater than the one to the left, this tells us that this species is unstable and is.
You understood this particular point? When you have reduction potential, you are not arranging in the decreasing order of reduction potential, that you remember. Within the same species, suppose if you are drawing the Latimer diagram of only iron within the same species, you have to write in such a way that the highest oxidation state, that is written on the left extreme, and the lowest oxidation state on the right extreme. So from here to here you have to write like that. So do not get confused or do not get what is it called, done based only on the values given in the question paper. Question paper values sometimes will try to mislead you or confuse you. Do not simply look only at the values given in the question paper. Just you think, even if there are no values, how do I derive, how do I place a Latimer diagram for this particular metal ion? The highest oxidation state of the particular metal ion goes to the left extreme. The lowest oxidation state comes to the right extreme. Usually what happens is the values will gradually decrease from left to right. This is usually happen. Unless otherwise, you will see somewhere in between the values are not following that trend. Whenever the trend is reversed, 0.5, 0.27, 0.95, like that, when the trend is reversed, you can understand that this particular species, which is having higher value than the previous one in the highest oxidation state, is in a metastable state.
The other example we have in our diagram is manganese 3 plus. Since the right is 1.51 and to the left is 0.5. We will write out the equilibrium for the disproportionation reactions for those two species in detail later in this video. For the first half reaction, we have the reduction of permanganate ion to manganate. This one will be done rather quickly because we notice that the number of manganese doesn't change. The number of oxygens doesn't change. We simply change the charge from -1 to -2. So this can be achieved simply by adding 1. We can quickly double check by making sure that the charges on each side are equal. Left hand side has a -2 charge, and the right hand side has a standard reduction potential for this half reaction is 0.56. The next half reaction is the reduction of manganate ion to hypomanganate ion. And similar fashion.
Somebody is not able to hear my voice properly. I don't know what will be the reason. My microphone is at the maximum gain. Just checking my microphone. Microphone is working well. Okay. Suppose if you let us continue the class. If you feel again the microphone is not working well, tomorrow I will try it in another laptop. Okay.
It is half reaction. The only difference on each side here is charge. So go from the -2 charge to -3 charge. So this can be balanced simply by the addition of one electron. The standard reduction potential for this balanced half reaction is 0.74. Next half reaction is the reduction of hypomanganate ion to manganese dioxide. Here it will be helpful to calculate the oxidation numbers of manganese in each case. So we know that oxygen is going to have an oxidation number in general of -2. So it's -8 total for all four oxygens. You have an overall oxidation number of -3. The oxidation number is equal to the charge for 9. So therefore, manganese must in this case have an oxidation number of 5. In manganese dioxide,
I hope you all remember how to calculate the oxidation state in this particular system. Here this M1 O4 3 minus is what the species for which if you want to calculate the oxidation state of M1, each oxygen contributes -2. So M1, so let us say this M1 is X, which is having some oxidation number, X plus -8, 4 into -2 is equal to -3. Okay, so then how many electrons are satisfied? This should be -3 is satisfied by -8. So the unsatisfied is if you take this 8 and put it on the other side, -3 plus 8, it becomes +5. So this you already studied in 12th standard very well, but just
oxygen has -2. Two of those, so that gives -4. The oxygen for neutral compounds, oxidation number has to be 0. So therefore, the oxidation number of manganese is going to be +4. The easiest way to achieve a reduction from +5 to +4 is to simply add one electron. At first, now we have to make sure that we balance the number of oxygen. We have 4 oxygen atoms on the left-hand side, but only 2 oxygen atoms on the right-hand side. This, in general, to balance the oxygen on each side, we're going to add oxygen. We're going to add 2 molecules of H2O. Now we have 4 oxygens on each side. So oxygens are balanced. But we don't have a balance for the hydrogens. So we have no hydrogens over here. We have 4 hydrogens on the right hand side. So we balance by adding hydrogen in the form of plus. Makes sense because we are in acidic solution. Now to double check, let's look at the charge on the left hand side. -3, -4, +4, that is equal to 0. The charge on the right hand side is equal. So we have now successfully balanced this. Standard reduction potential is going to be 4.7. This. Our next step is the reduction of manganese dioxide to manganese. We had determined that the oxidation number of manganese in manganese dioxide is +4. So we're going from the manganese in a +4 oxidation state to manganese reoxidation. Do that. That balances the oxidation numbers for manganese. However, we don't have a number of oxygen balance, so we need to add oxygen on the right hand side in this form of fluid. Again, this is going to involve 2 molecules of water. Now the number of oxygens balanced, there are 2 on each side. And to finish this off, you notice that we have 4 hydrogen atoms on the right hand side. We have no hydrogen on the left hand side. So we add them to the left in the form of plus. Oxygen and hydrogen atoms all balanced. We balance the oxidation numbers. And the last thing to double check is to make sure that our charge is balanced. We have a -1 and a +4, that's -3, +3. And then we have a +3 on the right-hand side. So the charge is balanced. Standard reduction potential for this balanced half reaction is going to
So I am forwarding some of the what is it called,
number of manganese.
video,
We need 4 molecules, because that will give us 4 atoms.
because he's doing the same thing, explaining how it is done.
It's most powerful when it's concentrated. Next, we want to look at, well, here we have a reduction from +7 to +4.
Hello? 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 यार कैसे हैं? ಇಲ್ಲ ನಾನು.
Which is going to require 3 electrons. You also notice that we go from having 4 oxygens on the left-hand side to only having 2 on the right-hand side. So to balance the oxygen, we need to add 2 molecules of water. Now we're going to look at the disproportionation of hypomanganate in a 6 solution. Disproportionation is the simultaneous oxidation and reduction of a species. And we can recognize in the Latimer diagram by the fact that the number on the arrow going right is more positive than the number arrow coming into the species. So we notice that now from manganese, hypomanganate ion, we had a value of 4.27 volts, which was larger than the value of 0.294 volts coming into it. So how we handle writing out the balanced disproportionation reaction is we write down the reaction, the reduction of the species, with a large positive value with no change. Next, we're going to take the reaction involving reduction to the species, and we're going to write it in reverse. You notice that if we change the reactants and the products of a half reaction, we change the sign of the standard reduction potential. So we notice in the second reaction, we've written it not as a reduction, but as an oxidation. We've taken standard reduction potential half reaction, flipped it, and therefore we changed the sign from a positive to a minus. Our next step now is to add these 2 half reactions. Add these 2 half reactions together. You notice that we have 1 electron on each side, so that cancels out. And we're left with 2 ions of hypomanganate plus 4 protons. Disproportionate to give us 1 ion of manganate ion, 1 molecule of manganese dioxide, and 2 molecules of water. And we simply add these 2 values together to get that the standard reduction potential voltage of this particular cell is going to be 3.996.
So most often in CSIR you will get one problem based on this manganese. What happens here is they want to know what is the standard reduction potential for a disproportionation reaction involving this 3 plus MnO4, what is it called? The previous one, MnO4 3 minus 2, MnO4 2 minus, and MnO2. This particular MnO4, one part is getting oxidized and another part is getting reduced. So how much of potential is involved in this disproportionation reaction? So that is what will be asked in the question. What extent explained here is you write one forward reaction as readily available in the Latimer diagram, and then you take another equation which is the reduction of this MnO4 but in the reverse way. This is possible only if this E value is having a positive value 3.996. So this is what is the take home message. Take home message: the disproportionation happens only when the E naught value has some positive value, and then you continue this conversion process. What is called simple addition you do by balancing the electron. This balancing electron is done one step prior. He has explained in all these steps how to make the half reaction balanced. You first balance the half reaction, and then you give this particular disproportionation reaction. And what are all the comments you can make is the disproportionation reaction happens when the acidity of the medium is very large, only under very high acidic pH, because you see that it requires 4H plus. Only under that conditions this can happen. Otherwise, it won't happen. Okay. So these kind of corollaries you can make based on. Janani is still saying my voice is not very clear. Okay. Maybe I should try tomorrow in another laptop. For time being, we manage today because suddenly I cannot switch to another laptop. So what we can do is, the idea is simple. MnO4 has multiple oxidation states. Because Mn has multiple oxidation states, it has a possibility to do something called a disproportionation reaction. Since it has the possibility to undergo disproportionation reaction, what could be the final E naught value for that particular disproportionation reaction, and what are all the conditions required? So this is what the way in which the Latimer diagram is used to understand the disproportionation reaction. In the previous iron example, we saw how to calculate the E naught value for something which is not readily available or not able to measure directly. We converted them into delta G values and then added the delta G values, then normalized with the number of electrons, and we got the standard reduction potential for those conversion where it is difficult to get the direct values that we saw earlier. Second point, with the manganese examples, which is having several intermediate oxidation state, we found out this manganese, when you try to arrange in decreasing oxidation state and place the standard reduction potentials, the standard reduction potential is not following a decreasing trend. The sudden jump in the value of reduction potential might indicate about the what is it called, instability of the species involved during the transition. That is what is more important. The second point, what we can learn from Latimer diagram is by simply reversing the sequence, you can sum up and look for whether there is a possibility for disproportionation. If that is happening, what are the conditions required to carry out the disproportionation reaction? What will be the standard reduction potential for that particular disproportionation reaction?
Manganese dioxide and 2 molecules of water. And we simply add these two values together, get that the standard reduction potential voltage of this particular cell is going to be 3.996. The last reaction we're going to look at is the disproportionation of manganese 3 plus in acidic solution. First reaction, the one with the more positive value, right? The standard form as a reduction. We have manganese 3 plus an electron, gives us manganese 2 plus. Then we take the other reaction, flip it around. So now this is written in the form of oxidation. We have manganese 3 plus 2 molecules of water, it was manganese dioxide plus an electron plus 4 hydrogen. And since we flipped it, we have to change it from a positive 0.95 to a negative minus. Again, we add the two reactions together, get 2 manganese 3 plus. Electrons cancel out, which have to. Otherwise, we need to rebalance. Plus 2 molecules of water gives us manganese dioxide plus manganese 2 plus 4 hydrogen. And that gives us on the right hand side that the voltage under standard conditions is going to be 0.56. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Stay safe, and as always, have a good one.
Okay. So where are we? Yes. So now we have seen two examples. In both the examples, we are able to understand how can we draw or construct a Latimer diagram. Once we construct the Latimer diagram, what are all the informations we can get, and we comment on the disproportionation reaction based on which part the H plus is there. If the H plus is on the right side, then we can say that you need to remove the H plus, which means that under alkaline medium, H plus are removed. So this is preferred in alkaline conditions. The H plus is required on the forward side. We say that it undergoes under acidic conditions and so on. So this is what is all about Latimer diagram. You have three examples in your syllabus. One is iron, other one is manganese, and the third one is copper. And iron has three oxidation state, very similar to that of copper 0, copper 1, and copper 2. So since I discussed iron, I am leaving copper for you to do something called self-study. If you have any doubt related to understanding copper, you post it as a question in WhatsApp or in Google Classroom. I will reply in the next class. Okay. So we have now close to the first unit almost with the Latimer diagram. Now we have to move on something called complexes, the inorganic complexes. I would like to give a very brief introduction today, and we go back and recollect some of the ideas that we have studied earlier. The inorganic complexes are very fascinating only because of the beautiful color that they bring out, and the color due to the color in the inorganic complexes are due to the presence of these ligands. The ligand field theory or crystal field stabilization theory or crystal field splitting theory, whatever name you call, the theories have slowly developed over the course of past 150 years of doing several experiments. If time permits, I will okay. Somebody want these slides to be shared in Google Classroom. Okay, I will do that. What is more important in the experiments that is being done to understand inorganic complexes is they gave beautiful insights complexes that were not studied in those days. So the experiments were so founded strongly that even without pursuing other experiments for the newly discovered elements, complexes, it is possible to correlate the properties based on the detailed studies that we have studied. Okay, so now let's go back to the what is it called basics. You would have studied something called primary valence and secondary valence. One of the earlier studies is done by Werner. And Werner complexes are the first cobalt complexes to be extensively studied. And he studied this cobalt 2 and cobalt 3 chloride. And from there, he came up with the idea of primary valence and secondary valence. Now we know what is primary valence and what is secondary valence. And then after that, slowly came the idea of the ligands, which are going to be surrounded by the central metal atom. In the Werner's idea, what he did is he simply did only the electrochemical measurement. He measured the conductivity, and the conductivity was proportional to the charge present in the metal ion. From there, he tried to correlate the number of charge, even though the oxidation state remains the same. The charge is being compensated by 2 chlorides, 3 chlorides, and so on. And some chloride are unionizable, even though Cl minus is negatively charged and it is expected to be in ionized form. Some Cl minus present in the inorganic complexes become unionizable, And so he called those ionizable anions belong to primary valence, and those unionizable, this one belong to the secondary valence. From there, the inorganic chemistry became more interesting, and lot of discoveries were made from that point of invention. Now we have such an advanced technology to simulate what could be the magnetic property of the complex. So you see, we started with color, Werner started with color, conductivity, and so on. Now the technology allows us to do computational simulation for unknown complexes for which we can predict the spin-spin coupling and so on. So this is what happened over the past 150 years of this inorganic, what is it called, complexes. Okay. Now, the second point which we have to understand is not all metal ions will give similar type of complexes. Some metal ions form tetrahedral geometry. Some prefer to take octahedral geometry and so on. And we will study, we will see through the reasons why certain metal ions prefer. Um, Somebody is saying again, voice is not clear. Oh, it's a previous question. So, now what is more important to recollect today? When you get time, you go back your higher secondary textbook. There, you might find some of the very introductory ideas on this inorganic complexes. You just skim through the idea. Even if you don't get time, just chat with some of your friends who might know some ideas on inorganic complexes. Who do you think that they may be knowing some fundamental concepts related to these Werner's complexes and so on? So you discuss with your friends, come with that background information. With that, we will start the inorganic complexes in tomorrow's class. I will try in another laptop tomorrow, and we will see whether that laptop works. If it is not a hardware issue, then the issue is because of the Cisco WebEx. We have to go back to Google Classroom. Let me see what else we can do. This somehow we have to learn. Meanwhile, I am trying to install this Linux software. These people are very busy. They are not able to come and upload the what is it called, software for me. The IT people. Once they have done that, then we can have the online examination. Don't worry about the examination. We will find the time slot for examination. Anytime you can write examination because you don't take stress in learning the subject. Just you enjoy learning the concept and keep in mind whatever concept you learn. With this, we'll close today's class and we will continue the next class tomorrow on inorganic complexes. It's a new topic. We'll start on this inorganic complexes. Please go back and read something fundamental and come back to me. Okay. Anything else is there, you can ask. As usual, we have the last 10 minutes for this. Okay, if more questions are coming, I assume that you are all clear with the Latimer diagram, and we will close today's class. Okay. So your attendance is automatically taken, no need to worry. This Cisco WebEx has an option that when you enter, it will register your entry. When you exit, it will register your exit. So, no need to worry. It's done. Thank you. Sure.